story always seemed to be the same in Liverpool's first few seasons under Klopp. Exhilarating football going forward to contend with the best, but defensive fragility to drag them down. What has been the key to their transformation, though, since 2017? Before we carry on, the article aspects of this video are based on was originally posted on The Athletic and was written by Oliver Kay. Head over to www.theathletic.com/RabonaTV to get started with a 7-day free trial and 50% off of your annual subscription. Happy holidays to you, I hope you're well, and with Liverpool now champions of the world, without being the champions of England since 1990 at least, I figured we should check in on their progress over the last couple of seasons and see what The Athletic senior writer Oliver Kay has to say about them. On December 22nd, 2017, Liverpool took on Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium. It was a pulsating, breathtaking Friday night game in which Liverpool went from 2-0 up to 3-2 down in what felt like the blink of an eye. Roberto Firmino's equalizer earned them a draw, but it was mayhem, some wonderfully fluent attacking football undermined by 3 goals inside 4 minutes and 45 seconds early in the second half. In the first couple of seasons under Jurgen Klopp, this sort of thing was all too common. They were brilliant going forward, but the complete lack of any sort of defensive ability would ultimately come back to bite them. That, coupled with the threat of having a complete collapse defensively, created quite the snowball effect in certain matches, a poor defense that would play even worse than they were able to. It seemed as though some of the hallmarks of the old Brendan Rodgers Liverpool, the team that came oh so close to a Premier League title in the 2013-14 season, had continued to live on under Klopp. The attacking firepower was still there, much more likely to win a match 5-4 than 1-0. As Kay writes, "It was maddening to watch. There was beauty when they crossed the halfway line, playing through Philippe Coutinho, but they were like one of those cut-and-shut cars, a stylish front end welded with a faulty rear. Whichever combination of Joe Gomez, Joel Matip, Dejan Lovren, or Ragnar Klavan was playing in central defense, whichever of Simon Mignolet or Loris Karius was in goal, they looked vulnerable, even when dominating games. It was not just individual fragility, anxiety spread through the team." And this was perhaps the catalyst to turning Liverpool into the team they are today. It's no secret that Liverpool's problems in defense were their Achilles heel, and the club's reluctance to invest in quality defenders and keepers almost became an ongoing joke. But once Liverpool had finally got their man in Virgil van Dijk to marshal the central defense, everything changed. Add to that no longer needing to rely on the Swiss Army knife of a footballer that is James Milner in the fullback positions thanks to the arrival of Andy Robertson and the emergence of Trent Alexander-Arnold, and their backline was nearly up to their current standard. The missing piece? These days, with Alisson commanding his penalty area and Virgil van Dijk patrolling the defense, you almost expect them to hold firm, to weather the storm before reasserting themselves in midfield. The importance of reinforcing the spine of the team, Alisson, Van Dijk, and Fabinho, really cannot be stated enough, but what is so striking is the improvement in those around them. Before Van Dijk's arrival, it never seemed to matter which combination of Gomez, Matip, or Lovren was playing in central defense. There would always be vulnerability for their opponents to exploit. Now, it doesn't seem to matter which of them is playing alongside Van Dijk. And as mentioned by Kay, with Fabinho brought into the club seemingly out of the blue, the difference he has made since settling in has been massive. Without him, Liverpool looks a little less dominant in midfield. But even despite that, Klopp now has a wealth of options in midfield, trustworthy options. Just as he can throw any centre-back alongside Van Dijk and in front of Alisson and assume that they will be rock solid defensively, as Kay mentions in his article, he has a similar situation in midfield. 2 years ago, Liverpool's midfield options seemed much of a muchness in a negative sense. These days, Klopp can turn to any 3 from Fabinho, Henderson, Milner, Jorginho Wijnaldum, Naby Keita, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and expect control and maturity. Wijnaldum in particular, for me at least, deserves plenty of praise this season. He certainly showed his quality throughout his time at Liverpool, but until the last year or so, he hadn't shown the type of dominance in midfield that Liverpool fans had perhaps expected of him given his great spell at Newcastle before joining the Reds. That, as well as the lack of goals from the midfielder, this season, he's looking to be on another level. For club and country, actually. The same could be said about Naby Keita. Finally, after watching his brilliance at RB Leipzig, he looks to be reaching those heights once again. Then there's the perhaps less flashy duo of Milner and Henderson, but they have proven time and time again that they shouldn't be put into a box, and they can provide much more than just stability. In extra time against Flamengo, with Milner joining Henderson in midfield, it was all about maturity and control. There was a sniff of a chance for the Brazilian team right at the end, but otherwise, it was an education in the things that players like to call game management. They still produce more than sparkling football than most. In the past few weeks alone, they have produced a variety of wonderfully incisive moves to cut open Everton, Bournemouth, RB Salzburg, and Watford. Another came on 99 minutes in Doha when Henderson's pass split the Flamengo defense to release Sadio Mane, who in turn set up Firmino for the only goal of the game. As for Liverpool's attack, no longer does the talent pool seem as shallow as just Mane, Firmino, and Salah. Before, it felt like as soon as one went missing through injury, then Liverpool's attack would suffer greatly. But the supporting cast of characters, Origi, Shaqiri, etc., have proven that when given the chance, they can fill in for the front three. And with Minamino due to arrive in January, it's yet to be seen if the Japanese attacker can provide even more quality cover and perhaps some friendly competition as well. But beyond the improvements in personnel, there has been a maturation of Liverpool's tactics, and that in some way has bred more consistency. Tactically, the updated post-Coutinho model is an altogether different proposition. They no longer press their opposition as wildly or energetically as they did in those first couple of years. Klopp says this change was largely forced on them. A case of reacting to a change in the opposition's approach to playing against them. We will still be there with the counter-press, but very often it's not possible, he said 12 months ago. It means that now we have to control more games. We have to keep the ball, especially against counter-attacking sides. And, as Milner himself explained to The Athletic, people might look at us 2 years ago and say we were playing exciting football more of the time, but then the next game we would be off the pace and we would lose or draw. Whereas now, there's that consistency, that knowledge of how to get the job done, even if we're struggling. If it takes 95 minutes, you find a way to do it. The team has got very good at that. When you're playing 50 to 60 games a season, you're not going to play your best every single time. So you need to find ways to win matches when you're not at your best. The tactics have developed, and consistency has been a byproduct of that change. In Kay's article, he highlights Henderson's comments following their Club World Cup victory. Our mentality shone through, Henderson said after that grueling 1-0 extra-time victory over Flamengo. We found a way for a long time now. He's not wrong. So often this season, the talk has been of Liverpool digging deep and finding a way. In the 18 matches they have played since October 5th, Klopp's team have scored equalizers in the 85th and 94th minute, and winners in the 75th, 85th, 91st, 94th, and 95th. And now, in extra time against Flamengo, the 99th minute. As Pep Guardiola has said through gritted teeth, if it's one time, two times, we were lucky. But it has happened in the last 2 seasons many, many times. They have a special character to do that. A very special two-pronged character, consistency and grit, that Klopp wanted to instill in this team from his very first press conference as Liverpool manager. Speaking of the entire club, from the fans to the staff and of course the players, he said that he wanted to change them, quote, from doubters into believers. With the Champions League title, the UEFA Super Cup and Club World Cup titles under their belts in 2019, only time will tell if their title-winning consistency will breed their first English top-flight trophy since 1990. Of the past 168 points available, they have taken 149. For a team who were previously and rightly disparaged for their flaky tendencies, that really is remarkable. And you can keep up with everything Liverpool on The Athletic, like James Pearce's piece on the newfound relentlessness of Klopp's squad, or take in the in-depth coverage of every Premier League team, as well as coverage of competitions like the Bundesliga, Champions League, MLS, and various national teams from football's best writers. You can subscribe to the feeds of your favorite teams, competitions, or writers using their app or go online. So, support Rabona TV by heading to www.theathletic.com/RabonaTV, and in turn you'll get 7 days for free, 50% off of your annual fee, and access to some of the best sports journalism. Thanks again for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and had a great holiday season. If you want more from Rabona TV, then just hit that subscribe button. But other than that, thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and we'll hopefully catch you in the next one. Take care.